Hey everyone, Dan at Bushcraft. I'm smiling, guys. Our first winter snow in the Ochco Mountains hit last night. Here it is. We still got another week left in October. This is a good sign. Look at that. Look at that. Mountain fresh snow. Nice. So I'm excited to be up here. My tracks are the only ones up here. I broke tracks in the snow early this morning to get up here, and I am the only person out here. I have seen wildlife this morning, and that's it. It's just me. So I wanted to take advantage of this first snow to address an important topic on starting fires. I mean, a life-saving topic for this time of year. Okay, yesterday and last night, it rained and rained and rained hard for a long time. And then as the temperatures dropped, it finally turned to snow. And we have, there's probably 2 inches of snow out here in places. So everything is wet. And it's only going to continue to get wetter because we're going to warm back up a little bit and we're going to have more rain, and then it's going to freeze at night, and then we're going to have snow on top of that, and more rain and more snow and more ice. And I can tell you that fire making just using natural materials gets more challenging. It can be done. I can go out and I can find some dry twigs up underneath some fir trees, dead fir trees and different things. And of course, I can always find fat wood in the stumps and in the root wads. But I'm talking, what if it's an all-out emergency right now? Okay, I am shivering, I am cold, and I've gotten wet. Maybe I even broke through the ice in the creek, or someone in my party that I'm out here with has. I need to get a fire going immediately to save their life. Well, let's talk about a couple things. So many survival books and videos out there always talk about lighters, carry lighters so you can get a fire going. Well, here's what they don't tell you. This lighter was working fine a while ago until I got it out here in the cold. It is well below freezing out here, well below freezing. My hands are cold, and I'm deliberately exposing them to the cold right now to lose some dexterity, to show you what can happen there too. So I'm doing that on purpose. So this lighter has been out here exposed to these sub-freezing temperatures. And guess what? It'll no longer light. And I can tell you right now, as my hands are getting colder and colder and uncomfortable, but I'm doing this on purpose, guys. This is hard. This is hard. It's hard for me. And it's not working. Now, again, this lighter worked just a little while ago when it was in a place that was warm and above freezing. It has stopped working, and I'm having trouble, again, because my hands are so cold, striking it. So a lighter isn't the end-all fire starter. If I'm cold and I'm wet and I need fire now and my lighter won't light because it's below freezing, well, the alternative, and I've done this in videos, you put it inside your shirt, under your armpit, let it warm up with your body heat. But what if I'm cold and wet? I can't do that. So if this is my primary fire making method, or the only one I brought, hey, I've got it made. I got a lighter in my pocket, a lighter in my pack, and another lighter in my, another emergency kit that I have. I got 3 lighters. Guess what? If they've all been exposed to the cold out here, and that's all you've got, you got no way to make a fire. Windproof, waterproof matches, great. But we got some things to think about here with these too. First of all, 15 seconds of burn time. If I have no homemade tinder with me of any kind, or store-bought tinder, whatever, and I am relying strictly on what's out here, I've only got 15 seconds of burn time with this. And I can tell you from experience, that unless I take the time to go out and get up under some of these fir trees and get dry twigs and dry limbs, if I just start grabbing what's close by because it's an emergency and I need fire as fast as I can get it, and I don't have time to go out and wander around and find some dry stuff, 15 seconds isn't enough time. If the stuff is wet, 15 seconds won't get it. I need some tinder. Here's the other thing. This has got damp sitting out here. There's a lot of moisture in the air. My striker worked just fine a little bit ago. I just lit something with it, but I've left it sitting out here. There is a lot of moisture in the air. And so even though this is a windproof, waterproof match, if this gets damp, it's going to not ignite the match. See that? I can't get this thing to light because my striker is damp. And if I would have fallen in the creek, this is in my pocket, I fall in the creek, it's soaked. I've been walking in the rain, I had it in my shirt pocket, it's soaking wet. Forget it. This can be a windproof, waterproof match, all it wants to be. And so that my hand is starting to shake. I'm doing that on purpose. This has got wet for whatever reason. It's been out in the rain. It's been exposed to a lot of humidity. I fell in the creek. It's been in my shirt pocket. My shirt is soaked from the rain. Guess what? I can all day long. Windproof, waterproof match is absolutely worthless if the striker on the outside is wet. And again, I lit a match here just a little bit ago when this was dry and I first took it out of my kit, but it just, the moisture from the air caused it to stop working. And look what happens. Look what happens when it gets exposed to the elements. People often ask me, why do you carry a ferro rod? Why not just use a lighter or matches? I hope I've answered that question. Now, I'm also losing dexterity in my hands right now. And I can tell you, using that lighter, just working that lighter was getting pretty hard to do. And my hands are shaking a little bit right now. And I'm doing this on purpose. I'm going to pause here in a minute and warm them up before we go start a fire. But as my hands are starting to shake, I'm having more trouble controlling the match, which will not light anyway now. This thing's big. I don't have to have finger dexterity. There we go. The first thing that I've got out here in this cold, wet weather that will produce fire. Snow. Ferro rod's covered with snow. Wipe it off on my shirt. It's wet. Guess what? Turn that around. Still makes sparks. The matches won't ignite when the striker is wet. The lighter won't work when it's wet or below freezing. Imagine getting some rain in here on top of that. This thing's just going to turn to ice. I'm losing dexterity in my hands, so things that I need to do with my fingers are not as easy right now. And the good old ferro rod, it doesn't take any finger dexterity. I can hold everything in clenched fists and get sparks. So that's why my ferro rod is my #1 fire starter. And I've got extra ferro rods with me. I'll have one on my knife sheath. I'll have one in my pocket. I'll have one in my fanny pack. I'll have one in my big belt. There's 4 or 5 ferro rods out here with me and another one in my vehicle. I'm never without a ferro rod. So the most important thing next to my ferro rod for fire starting then is some cotton balls saturated in petroleum jelly. We were just talking about if this match would have lit, and I could have showed you guys this wet stuff. 15 seconds won't ignite it. I've tried it. I've used match after match after match, and I ended up having to take several matches, put them inside the tinder bundle, and light the bundle of matches. That's only 25 matches, and I've used up a third of them to get one fire. The best thing that you can have out here, along with your ferro rod, this is real survival, based on experience. I'm out here all winter long. When the roads are closed to where you can't even get here in a 4-wheel drive, I'm still going to find a way to get up here. I got plans for that this winter. But in my pocket, I got a small Altoids tin, and it's shoved full of cotton balls with Vaseline. I got another bag right here with me, a big bag that was sitting in my vehicle. I have either Ziploc bags or Altoids tins in all of my kits. So I just open up my Altoids can, and I have cotton balls saturated in Vaseline in my pocket. Again, I have them distributed in my kit. Some are just in a bag like this. I got a big bundle. I have them in my fanny pack, my regular pack, my pocket, my vehicle. 7 minutes of burn time, okay? Doesn't matter how much burn time this gives me. It gets wet. It's below freezing. I have 0 minutes of burn time. It will not spark. Only 15 seconds of burn time with the match, which isn't enough if all I've got immediately available is wet stuff. And if this gets wet, it's completely worthless. These cotton balls with Vaseline, it doesn't matter, and I'm going to show you guys here in a minute. We're going to walk up here. It doesn't matter if this gets wet. I've done a video on this before comparing this to other fire starters. I took a water bottle and I sprayed it and sprayed it and sprayed it, still lit right up with a spark. And then I sprayed it while it was burning and it wouldn't go out. It was amazing. So my ferro rod and some cotton balls with Vaseline is what I rely on out here to save my life if I'm stuck. You know, again, falling through the ice. I cross creeks in this winter weather all winter long, back and forth over creeks and things. The possibility of falling and getting wet is very real. My ferro rod's in my pocket. My cotton balls are in my pocket. I don't have to go hunt for a bunch of dry tinder. I can immediately start grabbing limbs and make a pile. It just takes me, 30 seconds, get a cotton ball in there, ignite this, and start getting the feelings back in my hands, getting some dexterity in my fingers, getting some bigger stuff on there, and save myself or my loved one's life. I'm gonna get my hands warm for a minute or two. They're just about numb. Pause you guys, and we're gonna move up the hill here. Okay guys, I got a tinder bundle set up here on a stump where I can demonstrate. This is wet stuff. I deliberately chose some small twigs and things that I could just grab close by that are wet. There's snow and there's ice on a lot of these. They're wet. They're not going to ignite with just a match. And I can tell you from experience, 15 seconds burn time isn't going to get this going. I need something like this. Again, emergency. I don't have time to go hunt through the trees. I need to save my life, or I need to save one of my companions' lives. Cotton ball, ferro rod. We just saw what happens with a wet lighter, or a lighter that is below freezing. We saw what happened with the striker on the matches when it gets damp or wet. I showed you I'd put snow on the ferro rod. It doesn't matter. I'll do it again. Okay, the ferro rod's covered with snow. It doesn't matter. I still have, get my striker facing the right direction. There we go. There. I still have fire. That's without drying it off. Now, if I just simply go like that, or my underclothes here, it's going to perform much better. So, with all that being said, cotton ball. Oops, I dropped my cotton ball in the snow. Now it's all wet and covered with snow. But it doesn't matter. This is by far the easiest way to get a fire going out here in an emergency situation. My ferro rod and cotton ball. And I say that But guess what I didn't do? I didn't fluff it up. The outside is completely covered and saturated with Vaseline. So in a hurry to get my fire going, I forgot to turn the fibers inside out. Something to remember. And hey, I'm glad that that actually happened, so I could show you guys. You got to think through your situation. You get under stress, and my cotton ball won't light. Turn the fibers inside out. There, see, that's all it took. My getting in a hurry to try to do this for the video, and I myself forgot to turn the cotton fibers inside out because the outside is saturated with Vaseline. So now pull some of this up over the top here. That is going to be enough to get this tinder bundle burning, to get things ignited and going. So that's another thing too. You know, I deliberately got my hands cold. Let me get my gloves on. I deliberately got my hands cold so that I would lose some dexterity, to also show too that it is a lot harder to get whatever you're doing going that involves any kind of finger mobility when you lose the dexterity in your hands. But because you can just wrap around the ferro rod and hold it with a fist, and the same with a striker, it's much easier. I don't have to apply any finger dexterity. And you can see the first minute of this sitting here, it did really not start to ignite because it's so wet and stuff. So I would have just been using match after match after match. Now that it's been burning for a minute, that cotton ball gives me about 7 minutes. Now it's gradually starting to ignite. And had I put the cotton ball all the way underneath to begin with, flames would be coming up through it now. I just wanted you guys to see. But, and again, stress in a situation like this, remember, just if you have your things on you in advance, so all you got to think of is, okay, my pocket, cotton ball, my pocket, ferro rod. Turn the cotton ball inside out. Don't do like I did and forget. Strike it, go, fire. So this is real survival. This is real fire making and, you know, real life, real survival situations, not when things are easy, but when things are tough. Let me pause you guys for a minute, a couple minutes, come back and watch this thing burn. So I grabbed another small handful of twigs and threw it on top of here so I'd have some more material as the flame was coming up through it and everything. So it took a couple minutes to get going because this particular wood that I grabbed was completely wet, and that's what I wanted. The matches would have failed over and over and over again. Even if the lighter had worked, I would have been just holding it for like a couple minutes, hoping that I didn't use up all my fuel. But again, with the wet and the cold, it wasn't working. The good old ferro rod still made sparks, even wet. And then when I wiped it off on my shirt, made sparks better. And you only need a minimal amount of sparks to ignite a cotton ball saturated with petroleum jelly, which, again, I did a video a while back on a fire tinder shootout showing that it was far superior to anything that you can buy aftermarket that I tested anyway. So ferro rod in your pocket, shirt pocket, pants pocket, along with some cotton ball saturated in petroleum jelly. Emergency situation, you get wet, someone in your party gets wet, you're freezing, your hands are cold, whatever. Get it out, turn it inside out, hit it with some sparks, fire. And then you can get your hands warm, and I can start adding more and more material to this. Dan at Ochco Bushcraft, again, real survival. Hope this helps you guys out, and it may even save your life. Take care, everyone.